Hey everybody, it's Dr. Boz. We're back with Lachlyn, our type 1 diabetic, and we've had a very eventful week. So we decided to stop halfway through the week and give a little update because it was going to be too much for one visit. Yes.
And I needed some strips.
Yeah, we needed some strips, yes. Ketone strips are not cheap.
Right.
So I said, I've got some, I'll bring you some.
And I wasted one day.
Oh yeah?
It just malfunctioned.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
things, yeah. It's real and they're expensive,
Yeah.
so we want to know what they say, and then we do not want to waste them, and I've got some free ones for you, so that
Yay.
works. All right, so let's go back to this. So you're a type 1 diabetic, been a type 1 diabetic for nearly 10 years, and on Sunday we said step over the threshold, despite the loss of the Patriots, or the winning of the Patriots.
Can we talk about that for a second, you guys? She had the audacity to come into my home and cheer psychotically for the Patriots when I was going for the Chiefs in my home.
It was a little over the top. One of those moments where
I was like, get it out.
I'm sure there was no cortisol in there.
We're still friends though.
Right,
we made it through.
So she's been a type 1 diabetic for over 10 years, or about a decade. So on Monday was your first day.
Yes.
And what was the goal for your carbs on that day?
30 honest carbs.
30 honest. That's what we decided. Like,
Yes.
let's make this real. Let's make sure that you can hit the mark.
Yep.
And then let's talk about when you got up on Monday. What was your breakfast?
We had eggs and bacon
Good.
and coffee,
Okay.
and that was it.
Okay.
Yep.
So the day goes on. You got busy life, and then what happens?
Then, was that the day that I had the low? Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think I ate lunch. Yeah, I think I didn't have lunch, and then I got
This was
low.
a big headache too.
No, I think that was the day before.
Oh, okay.
And then so I had a couple fruit snacks out of
Oh
my
yeah,
candy jar.
that's right.
Because I didn't know what to do.
So when you say low, what did you have a number that went with that?
No, I did not take it. I just could feel it. I was in the middle of cutting hair, so
Yeah.
I just said.
Let's fix this right now. Right. Yeah.
So that, and then that evening we had.
But the 2 cheeseburgers, the greasy cheeseburgers, or was that Monday?
It was Tuesday, I think.
That was Tuesday. Okay.
I don't remember what we had, but we had a deliciously greasy dinner and salads, and it was gloriousness.
Okay.
And then I woke up on Tuesday, and my blood sugar was the best it had ever been in like
Ooh.
a year at least in the morning, because I usually am high in the morning. So that was good. And then later on, as Tuesday went on, life was not good.
Yeah, that was
I
hard.
did not
wasn't
feel
it?
good.
So let's go back to Monday for a second. How many units of insulin did you take on Monday? The long acting.
50.
Okay, so it's a little bit down because we said you're not gonna die from a high blood sugar, but when you don't make your own insulin and you give too much, and then we really drop those carbs, you can have a low, and that's
Yeah.
what really scares you. It scares every type 1 diabetic. It scares the doctors. So you got to Tuesday. Oh, and then on Monday you also had Ketones-In-A-Can for the first time.
Yes.
Yes.
This is really good. You guys get her ketones and mix it with some vanilla shake and heavy whipping cream and ice, and it's like
Delicious.
to die for.
Because especially, this is one of the places, I don't recommend Ketones-In-A-Can for everybody, but especially in that transition and for people who, we have this journey that you're going through, the reason I wanted to come record it is because it's so powerful in what happens to type 1 diabetics. So you got the best blood sugar you've had Tuesday morning, we're like, whoa, that's awesome. And then I can't remember, did we lower the insulin on Tuesday? Yeah, that's what we did wrong. What did we do?
We went down to 40 units on Tuesday.
And you still had a low that day. That was the sugar rescue, right?
No, that was on Monday.
Oh, Monday was the sugar. So
Yeah.
that's why we went down. You're right. So we went
Yeah.
down to the lower on 40 units of long acting on Tuesday, which is pretty low for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's down 15 points from 15
Yeah.
units from where you started.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, how did you feel that day? That was
I just want you to see boo on the Patriots. Thank you, Jim. I agree.
very good. I think Tom Brady's great. He's kind of keto too, so I mean, don't hold that against him. So you get to this morning, because we're on Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning was the blood sugar of 243.
Yep.
And your ketones were
What were they?
0.1.
Zero.
You're like, oh, I did so good yesterday. Why is this awful? right? So a sugar of 243 in a type 1 diabetic. So I'll tell you how that makes me think. Number one, absolutely safer than a low. So in the morning, your body sends out a cortisol to wake you up.
Right.
This is called that dawn effect. And so whenever you look at your blood sugars in the morning, the stimulus to push any of your stored sugars out of the liver is going to be real. When that happens, the amount of sugar that comes out is relative to how much has been stored and what your sugars were the day before. And then it accumulates. So you got this 10-year story that says we've just got so many sugars in storage that your body can't make ketones until we get the insulin lower.
Right.
And that's part of what we're injecting. We can't take the insulin down until the sugars go down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes this place where do you start?
It's a difficult math.
Yes, it's awful. Because in the midst, we're like, oh, she needs to do her job. She has kids that depend on her, and she needs to not feel
To drive
awful.
without crashing.
That would be really good.
Minor things.
It would really be a disaster on the YouTube channel if you died. Let's not do anything where death is involved.
No, I don't want to do that.
But for real, people get scared about doing it because of that.
Yeah.
So in the interim yesterday, you got ketones in a can yesterday morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the good shake. And then did you have another dose of that later in the day, or?
I did. I didn't do the shake though. I did it with the coconut.
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You know,
Because I was like, I don't want a headache.
it's real.
If I have another headache like that,
You'll quit.
I don't know that I can keep on going because it was like behind your eyes, like stabbingness.
Right. So part of that's the keto flu, but you're not having ketones, you're just shifting things. And so to bridge you through this shift, we want you to increase the amount of ketones without dropping the sugar too quickly. So the way we hack that is to dose those ketones into your blood system. And you can do it every 4 hours. They last about 4 hours in the blood. That's kind of high maintenance. So twice a day is a pretty good goal. And the journey, I mean, it's not like a type 2 diabetic or even just somebody who's trying to go to ketosis. By the third day, the hardest part's over. We're just getting to the critical part where I show up at her work saying, how are you doing? How
What are you doing with that haircut?
Right. We're going to record this. There's a whole bunch of diabetics out there who want to see this.
Funny.
So she's like, we're doing what? I'm like, we're recording this.
Like, how do I look?
Always looks so good. So the end of today will be day 4, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4, okay? And I just wanted, so what did you do with your insulin today?
Today we went up to 50 again, right?
I think right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, we went to 50, then we got down to 40, and then maybe up to 45, and then up to 50. Is that what we did for 4 days?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. There's a reason we're doing
Because
this.
I took it this morning, it was really high.
Yeah, the blood sugar this morning was
Like
315, yeah.
And
And
my ketones were at?
they were 0.8, and you hadn't had ketones before that, right?
No.
Like you hadn't had the drink of them, right?
No.
Because if you
No.
take the drink and then you check it, you're like, hey, look how good my numbers are.
I'm winning.
Like, you cheater. It's not
No.
cheating. It's not
No.
cheating. It's
I didn't
actually,
drink it until I got to work today.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal. That 0.8 is real, that your body is making ketones. And you're like, but doc,
That's a good number.
well, if you're above, well, the best numbers for weight loss is to get a ratio of under 80. Let me explain that. So if your blood sugar was 100,
Okay.
and you had a ketone of like 1.1 or 1.2, I think that would be the math, you would have a ratio of 80. Let's
Okay.
try this a little easier. If you had a blood sugar of 80,
Okay.
that sounds ridiculous to you because that's been a long time since you've seen that. You would
Yeah.
like feel like you were dying if
Right.
we took you there tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes,
That's
that'd be
what I'm
real.
feeling.
And if you had a blood ketone of 1,
Okay.
80 divided by 1 would be 80.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the Dr. BOZ ratio. You have 315 divided by 0.8. So that's like north of 500, I think. I don't know. It's really high.
So I got
That's a ways to go. Yeah. So when you say what's a good number,
But I feel like I lost 10 pounds already. Is that real?
that would be awesome. The shift is amazing.
I've been dieting for 3 days and I feel like I lost 10 pounds. Thank God.
Let's not step on the scale because let's just pretend that this feels good. We'll take the win, man. With a ketone number of 0.8, though, what it says is, hey, you made ketones. And you're like, okay, how is that possible when she's injecting long-acting insulin and her sugar is above 300? And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Nobody else could do that. And the reason I want an example of a type 1 diabetic is because this shift in her sugar, it's relative to where her body's been. So it's not that her sugars are usually that high in the morning. When she has had an average sugar that's probably been around 200 for the better part of a month or two, and now you've had times where it was down to 150. Say it again.
A decade.
A decade? I won't tell your doctor. I mean, oh, wait. But it's real though. You're not the only one. Type 1 diabetes is hard. And then you have a life and you're like, but there's carbs everywhere and I can just dose for them and forget it. It's just too much trouble. And so you say, why are we going through this? What is the purpose of taking a type 1 diabetic into a ketogenic state? And the answer is, you won't have lows. Your body will be efficient at turning on the ketone fuel, and you store the ketone fuel in fat. So that's how they lose weight, and that's how they don't have to be, doc, I felt terrible, the headache was so bad, I wanted to cancel a client and go home and lay down. You're like, that's not a life. And there are so many of my type 1 diabetics that's how they think. You know, you can have people say, oh, she's got a sugar of 200, but for 10 years, you watch your sugars, you poke your finger, you do this for, inject insulin multiple times in a day. It's like, okay, I'm close enough, I'm as good as I can get today. And that conversation is real and it happens a lot. So,
like I feel goodish, and that works.
Yeah, and that's where, they'll stay. If you want them, the danger, and she knows this, and so does any of the patients that have diabetes, is that that's not going to pay off in 10 years. I mean, that's where the trouble shows up. But in the meantime, we say, well, how do we help her feel better, and then give her the freedom of getting healthier over time? And this is the hardest part. This is why drive across town saying, I'm coming to interview you, because there's a lot, and I don't
have a breve.
Yes, this is a breve. Heavy whipping cream. That's safe. It's comforting. She loves it. And yes, perfect. So if you look at what I expect to happen tomorrow, so we took your insulin up a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if tomorrow's blood sugar was still in the high 200s or low 300s. And you say, oh, that's so disappointing. I'm like, nope, we are pulling sugar out of the liver. So think of those high sugars as you are emptying the storage that has not had the ability to empty.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's a good thing.
Yeah. And the way I know that is your ketones are up from yesterday. You can't make ketones when the sugar's going up. Okay. When the sugars are being emptied and you're kind of cycling down, even though you've had some pokes where it was high, if we had perfect monitoring, we would see that it's going down to 150, and that's a low for you.
Right.
You're going to feel like probably, I wouldn't have been surprised if you would have checked your sugars, if it would have been 120 or something.
Right.
That's low relative. You can't drop that blood sugar from 200 to 120 and say, oh, you shouldn't feel anything. Of course she's going to feel something. And that's why it's so hard to get a type 1 diabetic from beginning to where we are right now. We're going to get there though. All right, should we read any questions, or should we let them? There's a whole bunch of them that have been on there. This is the hardest part about keeping track. I don't know if I can look at them on here. Oh, that's it. Good job. See? Assistant tap. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You smarty pants.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
You're her hero. What about me, Bonnie?
Yeah, give her
I'm just
praise.
kidding.
Give her praise. Let's see. They're horrified to see such high levels of blood sugars. And we're not, let's see. Okay, all right. Reading questions on live is probably not the best way to do this.
How close should we get to the camera?
I know.
We just keep on moving in.
Let's see if you can see my tongue.
Right?
All right, so again, we're going to keep up this. You'll see us on Sunday for sure. But in the meantime, encourage Lachlyn. This is really brave of her to do this, and I think it's going to provide for some awesome teaching. So
yay.
Thank you for doing it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.